open their doors to get back into operation as workers return. COVID-19 infections remain a concern. Companies are required to ensure standard safety measures to save lives of employees. To help us understand how to keep safe and not have the rate of coronavirus infections rise, we're now joined by Devan Moonsamy, CEO of ICHAF Training Institute. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Moonsamy, and thank you very much for joining us here on SABC News.
A very good afternoon to you, Flo.
Now, the Minister of Labour, Nhlesi, gave a media briefing where he gave, his views on and directives in terms of what companies and employers should be doing as their employees are coming back to work. Do you think that employers are indeed at this time mostly adhering to these requirements, and are they really well equipped to be adhering to those requirements and those stipulations that have been set out by the Minister of Labour?
We have to remember, and when we keep in mind corporates in South Africa at the moment, this nobody planned for. I mean, everybody's been saying it. It's a relatively new experience, not just for us in our households, but also for organizations and different corporates. So asking the question whether they are entirely ready would need to pose a further question in terms of, are the people employed in these organizations completely prepared, and do they have a level of understanding of what's expected of them? And the immediate answer is no. Remember, people have just gone back to work today, and this is a mindset shift. It's a paradigm shift, and a lot of South Africans who were previously employed under what was the old normal will now have to start adhering to the new normal. And habits, as we know, does take a little bit of time to be able to form. So I think it's going to be taking at least a few weeks for people to become completely immersed in terms of what the new normal is going to be like, and then people are going to start embracing it.
Now, what should companies, corporates, big business be doing really at this time to help their employees? I mean, these are some companies that are just used to making profits, used to making money, business. They're not used to having to, explain to their employees about, washing hands, sanitizing, all of that. So certain things might fall through the cracks in their quest to get back to the actual thing that they do, which is running the business. So how should they sort of balance these two issues?
As you know, in order to generate revenue for an organization, and I think many CEOs and executive boards have now reconciled this, health and safety of the employee is absolutely paramount. So this is where we talk about a paradigm shift in the corporate space, where individuals, executives, as well as CEOs, line managers, supervisors, now have to have a very radical paradigm shift in that we cannot generate revenue if half our workforce are being affected by the virus. And this means a fundamental training program or awareness campaign in terms of how I can sanitize 1.5 meters away, not using cloth sanitizers or using disposable tissues as an example, which some people do carry still handkerchiefs, so they have the whole toweling system in bathrooms. So we've got to be able to understand, if we want to make revenue going forward and become sustainable, also if we want to adhere and comply to what is the new normal, then my organization has to revisit the health and safety policy to now incorporate those aspects that cover COVID-19. It is unfortunately here to stay. So if we have a resistance from organizations, because I've been making money in other ways before, health and safety wasn't necessarily my key priority. Unfortunately, now the thinking has to change.
Now, you talk about the new normal, and of course, this is the buzz phrase that a lot of people are using at this moment. It's obvious that it's not business as usual right now, especially as people are returning to their places of employment. Do you anticipate that things will never really be the same, and that corporates should now make sure going forward that this is how they will need to be running their business, to be concerned about issues that perhaps prior to this they might not have been too concerned about?
Flo, to answer this question, who are corporates made up of? Corporates are made up of individuals who are employed within these sectors. Now, I'm going to encourage the people watching and all the South Africans that we're coming into contact through training sessions at the moment and Zoom sessions. It's a personal directive to take care of your own health. This is something that we've got to be able to talk about within our family structures, our religious organizations, our friendship circles, and our WhatsApp groups. We need to put health and safety at the forefront. And if we do that, we start to see a shift in the individual mindset. And then I'm walking into the SABC building, I'm walking into different corporate buildings, shopping centers, and grocery stores with a completely different paradigm. The CEOs and the executives can enforce as much as they want. But if my mindset doesn't mobilize me to adjust to the new norm, then unfortunately the system is just not going to work. We are going to see a serious spread in this in the rate of infection, and we are going to have callous people within our environments who are within the 1.5 meters. It's easy for me to say, but we must also understand that the more I practice, the easier it then becomes to embrace a new normal. It is easy to immerse ourselves into a new habit, but I'd like to reaffirm that it's an individual directive, an individual choice to be able to change this perception.
All right, Mr. Devan Moonsamy, thank you so very much. A pleasure talking to you. Thank you so very much for your input here on SA Today. That's Devan Moonsamy, CEO of ICHAF Training Institute. All right, we're going to take a short